Hello, welcome to MelMade. My name's Mel and this is a podcast about all the things that I have made. I'm back after quite a long absence because of my gammy elbow, which was tendonitis, basically golfer's elbow or knitter's elbow, caused by overuse. So I haven't knitted for so long and I'm back into it now. I've been knitting again for probably about a month and it feels so good to be knitting again. I was going to talk about that in a minute, but I think I'm just going to talk about it now because I'm already talking about it. I've moaned about this in other episodes, so I won't go into too much detail. I got a lot of pain when I was knitted with it, made it worse, had a crisis, had to stop knitting, tried to start knitting again. So 1 GP, 2 physiotherapists, 1 sports masseuse and a personal trainer later, I am back. And it turns out I am slightly hypermobile with no upper body strength. And I don't mean, I'm just not very strong. I mean, I'm now at the gym and I have a personal trainer helping me understand what I need to do to build my upper body strength up. And on the bicep curls, even on the lowest, even on the lowest setting, I'm like Beavis. I'm like, I can't move it. So I've got very low muscle tone anyway, and I think I'm fit enough, but I haven't ever really done weights or any sort of strengths or anything, and I'm past 40 now, and so I need to take a little bit more care of my health, and I can't just knit obsessively all the time. I've got to break it up with more exercise. And it was probably doing some of the machines at the gym and doing some of the weights that was a real turning point. And I say weights as though I'm like, I'm not, it's little weights, but that really, really helped. So I'm back and it's not been good being away, but I think I really, really appreciate the fact that I can knit now. And I think I understand now that when you're knitting, it is work. You're doing work with your arms. You can't think, oh, I'm just relaxing, I'm just knitting. Your body's still working, even if it's just tiny movements. So I'm now taking regular breaks from my knitting to move about, make cups of tea, go for walks, and trying to just do other things as well, because I can be a bit obsessive. So I think that, the thing I've learned is that I have to take care of myself and to be really grateful by the fact that I can knit. At one point I was saying to my partner, he likes running, and I don't really care if my knee hurts, but he had a slight calf injury or a knee injury, and I was looking at his sort of functioning arms and saying, oh, we could swap, couldn't we? You could have one of my legs and I could have your working arm. And you could see him thinking, I want your leg. Your leg's not as fast as mine. And then I was watching Star Wars. This is how obsessive I am. And just thinking like, Darth Vader doesn't realise how lucky he is. Like, he could just knit if he wanted to because he's got robot arms. I want a robot arm. Oh dear, so I was being a bit impatient. But we're back on. I've decided to knit some slightly different things because last time I podcast it was in the autumn and I've missed the best of the knitting season. Absolutely gutted. But yeah, so some of my plans have changed slightly. I've moved things around and yeah, it's so lovely to be back. So I'm going to start with a finished object. Whilst I was convalescing, if that's the word, I kept thinking about my Zora cardigan and thinking, I wish I'd made it. I could wear it with all my dresses. It would go so well. It's in one of my, what are they called, my base colours for my wardrobe. I've got one of those things, the idea for capsule wardrobe, but I don't have a capsule wardrobe because I have too many clothes that I can't get rid of. But the base colours in my capsule wardrobe would be burgundy, black and navy, because I think they all suit me and they go with loads of things and you can mix and match them. And the idea is that you get statement pieces in those shades or expensive pieces in those shades, and then things will always go and it's easy to get ready. I like the idea of that. I'm just not think I'm disciplined enough to always get things in those colours, but having a burgundy cardigan I knew would go with so many of the dresses I had, and I really, really wanted it. And I think I started this about a year ago. And I didn't enjoy knitting it because I don't think I'm a lace knitter. I don't really enjoy knitting lace and it's lace. But here it is. If I complain about it, I'll show you. This is it finished. I will put a photo in as well so you can see. It's quite a long cardigan and with ribbing in the midsection so it pulls in nicely at the waist. So this is the Zora cardigan. It's a pattern, a free pattern on knitty.com. I believe it is based on a 1920s cardigan knitting pattern, and it's been updated for the present day. It's very size inclusive. I knitted size 3, so that's a medium. And I used Amble Wandering Souls by the Fibre Company. That's what I used. I've got tons left. I think I massively overbought. I must have not read the yardage on the back. You get 325 metres of this fingering weight yarn in a skein, and I think I got about 4, which was a ridiculous amount to get, but never mind because it's a lovely colour. I think it suits me. Yeah. It's a blend of merino, alpaca and recycled nylon, so you could use it for socks as well. It's very soft, it's buttery. And I first started knitting this cardigan after doing, I think, my samfree in really scratchy Shetland yarn. And I remember showing it to one of my children and saying, like, this feels weird, it's soft and smooth, but isn't it weird? And they were like, no, it feels soft, it's okay. But I think I was a bit freaked out by how lush it was compared to the Shetland yarn. Jamieson's Shetland Spindrift is what I was knitting my samfree in, and I think that was a rustic scratchy wool that grabs together for the Fair Isle, and yes, and then I really enjoy knitting with that. You know, if you've watched previous podcasts you'll know that compared to that, this feels so soft. I think it freaked me out at first. Then I had loads of bumps in the road with this, just getting my motivation going, because I'm so pleased with it now it's finished. I have absolutely no problems with it. I just started it and then got in a mood because the picture, this is so childish, the picture on the pattern that I had printed out, hang on. I don't like the yarn it's knitted in. No offence to the lady that did it. There's nothing wrong with, you know, everyone's got their style, haven't they, and their tastes. But for me, I didn't like the lime green is my no-no. And I think it looks like it's knitted in almost like a chenille sort of yarn. And I don't like this as an oversized garment either. The reason, and you might think, why did you decide to knit it then? But the reason I wanted to knit this is because I saw it was Acton Kitten. I saw her on, I think it was Knitters of the World on Fruity Knitting, and she'd done one like this in a sort of, I think it was like a plum sort of colour. And I thought, oh, that is just stunning. That'll go so well with everything. I love the shape of it. I love the deep, rich sort of colour of it. I love the style. I love the fact that it's sort of vintage inspired. And so I looked her up and asked her on Instagram, where did you get the pattern from? And she told me, and so I printed it out. But anyway, I got like grump because I was thinking, oh, I can't look at it and feel really inspired because I really hate lime green. Just me being a baby, really. And I knitted the back, and that was fine. It's a very simple lace pattern. There's nothing wrong with it. It's like, hey, it's called a quatrefoil pattern, and I've done another top in pink, a summer top with this pattern in, and I do like little flowers, so yeah, brilliant. I think then I started knitting the sides, and the sides were really weird to me because they're so narrow at the top. I felt like I was messing about a bit. I was like, why is it so small? And the reason it's so small is because this band is supposed to be about this big, by the way. It's supposed to be about 4 inches each side. I've only knitted it as about an inch and a bit, inch and a half. But this is supposed to be, so a lot of this is band, and that's why these top bits are so small. But I felt like I love seaming patterns. I love the construction of seaming. I grew up flat knitting, seaming things together. In the round is more of a mystery to me. But even then I was just thinking, this is a lot of like faffing around and piecing bits together, and I don't know, I just got in a mood with it. Yeah, so I went quite slowly, and then I had my long break. Anyway, I picked up one I could knit about a month ago. I was like, right, I've been thinking about it, and obviously I want to do it, and I need to just get there, power through, get it off the needles, and then I can wear it. And because it's a 4-ply weight yarn, it's it's light enough to wear in the summer. It wouldn't be a thick winter cardigan. It would be something I would layer up with another jumper maybe in the winter, but it's definitely a cardigan I can wear in the summer, especially here in the UK where it's often freezing. It's freezing right now. It's the end of April, it's almost May, and it's just wet and 8 degrees Celsius or something ludicrous like that. Anyway, I get a lot of wear out of my knits. I don't care. yeah, so I feel like I've been a bit of a slog, but then I picked it up and thought I'm going to do it, and it flew off the needles actually. Once I sort of put my mind to it and stopped getting distracted, it just flew off the needles. There was nothing wrong with the size, I got gauge easily, and then at the end, before I put the sleeves on, and because I wanted to give my hand some variety with what I was knitting, because I was sort of rehabilitating myself, I thought I will do the collar first. So I tried it on, seamed without the sleeves because I hadn't knitted the sleeves at this point, and then I decided I don't need the depth of 4 inches. That's going to be, it looks nicer, and I know that Acton Kitten had said she felt that you could downsize it a bit. Negative ease might be nice for this cardigan, otherwise it could get too drapey, and I wasn't wanting a drapey one. I was wanting a cardigan that just sat open nicely over the top. I've got like a William Morris dress that this will look nice over, and a couple of other dresses, and I just want it as a little throw on bit, cover my arms up, keep my arms warm. If I'm in desperate, I can pin it. I might pin it with a little brooch or a shawl pin if I want to do that, but I don't need to do that. I can just have it open. So I decided I don't need to knit 4 inches of this, but without the sleeves, I think it was like this, and I was like, oh, it's definitely gonna be too big if I did 4 inches. This is fine. Cast it off, did the sleeves, put the sleeves on, and then I'm like, oh yeah, because I forgot. And I think I had this with the Alaska sweater that I did when I was talking about Mel Make Stuff, and how she always says you've got to knit the arms before you try it on, because the arms will pull things and make things be a bit different, sit differently on you. And I said that, and then I forgot my own learning there. So the sleeves have pulled it down a bit. It doesn't bother me a lot, not enough to unpick. I could easily unpick this, pick them up, knit a bit more. It doesn't bother me enough. I'm happy with it like this. This is what I want to use it for. So I am pleased. It's lovely and drapey. It has started to pill a bit already. I don't know if that's just something that you should expect with alpaca mixed yarns. I've got a lovely cardigan that I've knitted, one of the Lily Kate Makes patterns, and I used her new yarn, which is an alpaca merino blend, and that's pilled a little bit as well, but I don't know if that's just me being unlucky or whether you just expect that. Anyone knows? Do let me know in the comments. Yes, I'm very pleased with this overall, apart from all the complaining I just did. It also, obviously the blocking really helped it as well. Before blocking it was a bit bobbly, and I think maybe that was partly why I wasn't really like loving it, because I wasn't looking at how beautiful it would look. I knew it would block out and be fine, but I was like, oh. So I was really chuffed to get that done and get that off the needles. And I've still got quite a lot left over, so I think this would be a nice, I should do a nice plain summer top or something like that I can wear with my long skirts and things with the leftover. So that's, I'm pleased. And lovely yarn, not criticising. And I think the nylon content should help with the pilling, so hopefully we'll shed a bit and then it'll be okay. So my next finished object, I'm going to take this off. It's not a finished object, it's what I'm wearing. I am wearing my So Faded by Andrea, from a pattern by Andrea Mowry. So you can see there. I really, really love this, and I absolutely adore that the yarn I got for this. So this is knitted in Life in the Long Grass, LITG, and it's a blend of silk and merino, and I don't know if it's hand painted or I don't know how they've done it, but it's just so beautiful. All of the balls sort of shine, and the idea of this is you have one colour, it fades into another colour by alternating rows in each colour, and then you have a block of that colour, then you fade. And I think you're supposed to have like, well, you can do what you like. The whole point of this pattern is that you can do what you want with it. But I decided I wanted to have quite a few colours on, because the original pattern just has one colour fading into another, and it was like, find your fade. I couldn't settle on just one into another, so I had to have rainbow colours and have lots. I could maybe have had bigger blocks of colour, and I don't know why I thought I needed 2 different blues, because I didn't, so I could have just had one blue. This top colour is actually one of my favourites. It's so subtle, I don't know if you can see if it's coming up on the camera. It's just got, it's like a minty green, but with loads of little rosy bits and green bits. Oh, it's just so pretty. Oh, love it. And it feels very soft and very nice. it looks really nice on the other side as well. If I knitted it again, I might try and reverse it, because the fade on the inside is really interesting with the bumps of the purl stitches. You can see there. Looks nice too. The only thing I don't like about this pattern, and this might be the way I've knitted it rather than the fault of the pattern, I'm sure it will be my mistake, but it's knitted in the round top down, and I'm not very experienced in doing jumpers like that. But for some reason, the changeover of the yarn is like there. Now, I don't know if that's on purpose and whether the idea is it won't notice because you're busy with skeins and moving colours around and stuff, but I do notice it a bit. And I don't know if that's supposed to be on the back, but I kept reading it and I couldn't see any other way around it. So I would, if I did this again, I might reverse it. I might figure out how to have this happen on the back. If I've not just done it wrong, I would do it right. I think with the style of it, with it being a little bit scrappy and a little bit casual and fun and a bit bohemian, I don't think it really matters having a little cluster of stitches there, but I do notice it, so it's something I would do differently if I did it again. So you do it from the top down. I like these bits here, you get the bumps there, they're the bumps and on the shoulders. That's a nice little touch. And then you go down to the sleeves. I've got 3/4 length sleeves because I wanted this as a spring or autumn sort of transitional seasonal top. And it is a really, really nice one to throw on. I have it on under dungarees a lot and just with my jeans at the weekend, and I love it. So yeah, that's my So Faded. On to WIPS. The first one I'm going to show you is the library vest from this is what I got from my sister for Christmas, I think 2 Christmases ago, and there's a picture of me in Waterstones. I think I've already showed it, just getting really, really excited. And there's all the Outlander inspired knits. I love Outlander. And I've been meaning to knit something from this for ages, but obviously stopped me for the winter. But I was looking for a vest pattern that I thought would be nice to wear for work with my shirts and stuff underneath it. And I remembered there's a nice vest pattern here. This is the library vest, inspired by the one Claire is wearing there, like a 1940s style vest. I'll show you another picture of it there. You see that? Yeah. So it is a cabled vest knitted bottom up in pieces, seamed, and then with the arm edging done in the round collar. It's in an Aran weight or a worsted weight, and I ordered some beautiful lamb's wool for this in a silvery grey, and I am using Lore, L-O-R-E, Wool Story, 100% Kent lamb's wool, and that's again another Fibre Company yarn. It's very rustic, I think people would say. It's quite scratchy, but I don't mind because the idea is it's going to be over items. I shouldn't be able to really feel it much against my skin. And I've not got a vest or a slip over, and I thought I'd really like that. So this was really hard on my hands, so I did have to take lots of breaks while I was recovering from my arm because it was tough. Now, the pattern says that you can be a bit snug with it, you should have a bit of negative ease because there's a lot of give in the cables. I have pushed that to its absolute limit because I was worried I didn't have enough yarn, and I said, yeah, it'll be stretchy, it'll be fine. I've got a smallish waist, but I have got a bust. So I thought I'll do it small and I'll just up the needle size for this area and then go back to the smaller needles, and that'll work. It has just about worked for the fit. I haven't got any pictures of me with it on. If you can see, it is, maybe I'll put one in, we'll see. It is very tight. There's a lot of stretch in the cables. Oh, it's tight, yes. The problem I've got though is it's gone far too high up to my neck. I've got a big head. I have got a large head, I don't know why. And when I did have it all finished, and then I couldn't get over my head, or not without a struggle and without like leaving a red mark across my face. And then it was strangling me. It was just, no, I couldn't do that. So I've ripped out the collar, neckband, And as you can see, I'm thinking about just picking stitches up and making it into a V-neck. I don't know what you think, or whether I should, because the pattern calls for that. I think it would look nice like that. I don't mind a scoop neck, a bit more of a scoop neck. If anyone's got any ideas, please let me know what you think. Do you think it should be a scoop neck or a V-neck? If I did a V-neck, I think this bit here isn't straight, so I need to redo that. And then make sure I've picked up all the stitches. It's almost like steeking, isn't it? And I'd have to cut that out and lose that. Well, I have got enough yarn left to do that. So I'm thinking of doing that, and I'd have to work out how to freestyle a V-neck. I've done it years ago. I can't remember how I did it. I think you would just knit 3 together or something there, or 2 together there, wouldn't you, until it was done. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm so close to finishing it. It is blocked. It came out beautifully when it blocked. Look at it. It is just classic. Really, really nice. And I think I can get away with the silver. I've been doing my season's colour, and apparently I'm a winter. So pastels aren't good. Oh well. And greys aren't supposed to be very good on me, but charcoals and silvers are. And I'm like, well, they're greys, but anyway. But this counts as a silver. This isn't a grey. And I think I needed a neutral colour that'll go with, I've got black and white shirts. I wanted something that would go with lots of things. I've got some dresses, grey dresses, that this would go over. Yeah, so that is my work in progress. I really recommend it if anyone gets the book. It's easy to memorise, it's satisfying to do. The only reason I took a much longer over this than I would have done normally, is just because I felt like I was like, with the wool being scratchy and thick, and I do knit tightly, which is something I'm trying to train myself out of, because that can't have helped my poor elbow, knitting so tightly and grabbing everything. But yeah, I would recommend it as a pattern. It's beautiful. If I did it again, I'd probably go one size up. Now, because I've had an injury, and because you know, I needed to be really careful about how much I did, and I thought I need to be really sensible. I probably should go really, really slowly with any new WIPS that I think about, you know, really ease myself back into it. So I've started to knit. With that in mind, I just ignored all that. I am knitting a 4-ply dress, because what else would you do after you've had an injury? I've had this book for ages. I love it, the Shetland Traders. Some of you might be familiar with it. And it's by Gudrun Johnson, and the patterns in here are amazing. And of course, I found the most complicated, it's not the most complicated, the most ambitious one in there, and thought, yes. So I have cast on the Elsk dress. Look at it there. Ooh, look at that lovely fair eye at the bottom. And I also want to do it with the roll neck. Now, because you're supposed to be using, I think it's Jamieson's and Smith that you're supposed to use for this, a scratchy fair owl wool that would make sense for using for fair owl patterns. You're supposed to use that, or that's what the pattern's written for, but I can't have that against my neck, and I really, really wanted the roll neck, the turtleneck version. So I went out on a limb, and I think I've already talked about this, so I think a couple of episodes ago I did talk about this, because I got some of this yarn at the at Yarndale, which was last September, just when I hurt my arm. Not that I'm bitter. But first I went online, and I went on to Toft, because I've heard that that's lovely, and I ordered many balls of their, it's a chestnut shade, it's 100% wool, I believe it comes from their farm. It's made in the UK. It's very, very smooth and very soft. Have it against my neck, no problem. It's thread weight, but I read that it knitted up as a 4-ply. So I got loads of that. Oh, so soft. So that should be okay for the neck. And then for the contrast colours, I decided I didn't want to do just the browns and beiges. I really wanted dark brown and pink. I was watching Knit, Fix and Chill the other day with Jen and Bess, and they were saying something about how brown and pink were like, oh no, there's nothing worse, so it's out. And then they said, no, it's coming back in fashion. I was like, oh, phew. Oh dear. I've always wanted, I just love chocolate brown and like bright pinks. I think they just work really well together. Maybe I'm just showing my age. But for the contrast, I went and got some Ducky Darlings yarn from the Ducky Darlings store in Yarndale, and I got quite a few pinks, and I'm a bit new to making up my own colours schemes within fair owl things. I normally just do what I'm told, so I'm being a bit, well, not naughty, but you know, I went and got some merino singles. This one actually isn't Ducky Darlings, this is Kinross 4-ply. Super fine lambswool. And these, I think these are merino singles. So I got quite some lovely pinks. And I got a little sort of pale blue. I thought, oh, that'll be nice. These were the ones I got and I thought, they'll be nice, they look nice, I'll get them. Then I tried like wrapping them around a little card because I was too lazy to swatch them all. And the card said, yeah, I think that'll work. But it doesn't matter, I think nothing can compensate for a swatch. This is my little card, I wrapped them around. I thought, oh yes, it'll be lovely. Ah, it's come undone a bit now. Anyway, it didn't quite work because I realised when I got to the point where I was going to start the Fair Isle, I realised that this blue doesn't really look blue when you have it against the brown. It just looks white, even though when you've got the white, it looks more bluey. And I was like, ooh, I'm not feeling it. So I decided at the last minute to swap it out for this. This is just a blue sock yarn I've got. I can't remember where it's from. I knitted my friend Nat some sheepy socks a year or two ago, and this was the sky in them, and I had loads of it left over. And I might put a picture of them here, quite proud of them. But I had this left, I thought, well, it's a bit of a wild card, but let's just stick the blue in, why not? I'm trying to keep to a palette and I can't do it. And then I got further in, and then this pink was supposed to be used as a contrast to this light one, and I thought, that's not much of a contrast, you're not going to see that far away. Oh, what am I doing? So I've binned that one. I haven't binned it, I've put it to one side, I think. And I used, I am trying anyway, this colour here. I had this yarn left. I've got a bit more than this, but this is a little example. Look how pretty it is in the ball. And I thought, well, that'll work as a contrast for that and the white. So it's a bit of a risk because it's variegated. I think, is that the word for it? It changes colour. So I'm not certain it's going to work, but I thought I could I could play it safe. I've got loads of the Spindrift in my little boxes. I've got quite a few that might work, but I thought, no, if I don't try this, I'll always wonder if it would have worked. So I'm going to try it and just rip it out if it doesn't work. I'm going to be brave. So I'm rabbiting on about it, but I'll show you how far I have got. I'm just having so much fun with this. Right. Okay. Oh, this is how far I've got. Isn't it pretty? So it is knitted in the round, bottom up. I really hope this will go around my bottom. I've been measuring it and going, oh, please don't be too tight for my hips. I'll be gutted if I've got to rip it out. I mean, I've measured and checked and stuff, but I've got so excited. I haven't checked my tension recently. That'll be all right, I'll block it out. It'll be fine. So you start at the bottom with a 2-colour cast on. I'm doing this, the long tail cast on. And then you knit, in smaller needles, you knit a hem, then a row of purl, then you knit another sort of 20 rows up that way in slightly larger needles. And then it's really clever actually, the way she sort of guides you through it. And then you knit together. You can, because of the 2-colour cast on, that helps you see where you can knit the stitches to basically hem it as you are knitting. I wouldn't have minded hemming it myself, but this way, if you do it right, every single row will be lined up, so I think it is a really good way to do it. I'm a little bit worried because I've got some sort of slight, I don't know if that's bunching or if that's just the tension changing. So I'm not happy about that, but I'm hoping it'll block out, and I might even block it halfway and have a little go just to reassure myself that it'll look okay. But I suppose if it didn't look okay, I might be able to do something about it at the bottom. Anyway, well, it's going to be fine. It'll be fine. So yeah, it's knitted bottom up, and then when you get to the armholes, you divide and you would do the front and then the back. And you've got this lovely pattern on the sleeves as well. I'm about halfway through the pattern, and I think that hang on, show you it again. I think this ball, I think that colour, I've just started to use that. I think it's working. It's a contrast just near the top of the needles with the pale pink and the white. there. It's so pretty. So, and I like the way the blues come out. I think the grey would have been too meh. So yeah, I am really enjoying that, and it is, I hope it doesn't damage my arm again. I am really frightened of it hurting again. It does ache, but in a good way. Now I'm exercising and building up the muscles are going to protect the joint from you know, overuse and going wrong again. That's the theory. So I'm allowed to knit. I can tolerate a little bit of discomfort because I'm so sensitive to it now. Any twinge, I'm like, ah, and I stop knitting. But yeah, I've just got to be careful I don't get too excited and overdo it again. But yeah, so this is my new work in progress. Can you see from my face how happy I am? I will love this. I really hope I get it and it works. I get it done. But there's no hurry. I'm not going to pressure myself. I was pressuring myself a lot with lots of projects I was doing before Christmas, had deadlines. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm taking a break from knitting for other people just for a little bit, and just to take that pressure of having a deadline away from me, because just going back to just knitting for the joy of it, and it's ready when it's ready, because I get so excited. I put enough pressure on myself for when projects get finished. And yeah, if you've got any thoughts about how this variegated yarn will work within this pattern, do let me know. If you think it's going to be a disaster, feel free to warn me and you can say I told you so, because I'm probably so stubborn now I probably won't stop until I'm certain that it won't work. My eldest said, "Are you sure, Mum, with the colour changes?" And I'm like, no, but I've done it anyway. But yeah, do let me know what you think. Yeah, I was knitting one of my works in progress, which is just, it's in hibernation now, is the black hoodie I was knitting for my eldest. Now that was for winter and it's not winter anymore, so I am putting that to one side. They're 16 now, they've pretty much finished growing height wise, so I think we can get away. It's an extra large one. I think we can get away with leaving that until the autumn, because that was what I was knitting on when my arms first started hurting, and it's that alpaca blown sort of yarn. And I had slidey needles and probably was doing a lot of this, which didn't help. And now I sort of look at it and I think I've said before, I just think injured. So I just need to put that to one side. I think they'll be very patient for it. By the time I do it, they probably won't want it anymore. You know what kids are like, but you know, I'm going to do it because I think it's such a staple. It's something they'll have in their wardrobe. I have knitted them other things, something else that I'll go into during another episode, that they're now not. They're poo-pooing a little bit because of the neckline, but we'll discuss that another day. I don't know if there's anything else I had to share, just that I'm so happy to be back. And oh, I'm thinking of joining a crafternoon, like is it a knitting? It's not a knitting club. It's get my words out. I've found Woolabaloo on Facebook, and it's a wool shop in Durham that does sort of knitting social events. So I've joined that and I've signed up for that. So I'm going there next weekend. I don't know anyone, but I'm going to go down. I think if I've done the farewell part of my Elsk, I can just bring that body part, which will take a long time to knit. That'll be plain, and I think I'll just take that anywhere I want to go, and I just want to knit and not have to think about it. That'll be what I'll take there. The next thing I want to knit as well is a summer top. I've got two summer tops in mind. One is with the, I can't remember the name of it. I'll put the name up here. It's a lovely lacy summer top. Oh, it might be the Ula Lati. And I saw that recommended by Nicole on Common Thread Fibre as one she was thinking of doing. I thought, oh, that looks lovely. It's very, very lacy. I love the look of lace. I think I just don't like knitting lace. But that's with the linen thread. I knitted the Moonset Tea. I knitted that. I've discussed that in a previous episode in a white linen, and I love the feel of it. So again, linen with lace, is that a good idea? I think I said never again after the linen lace cardigan I knitted for my friend, but I'm going to knit that in the pearl grey, so it's like another silver, but I think it'll be lovely for the summer. So I'm going to knit that. But first, I think what I will cast on is, I think it's called Zoftig tea. I'll put a picture in here. And this colour, look at it. Oh, I think it's called Peacock. Is it called Peacock? Yes. And this is Vivacious 4-ply by Fibre Spates. I do love Fibre Spates. I'm not sponsored by anyone, by the way. I just like what I like. And it's superwash, I think. Is it superwash? Yeah, superwash merino. I know lots of people don't like superwash and the chemicals, but it's smooth, and I didn't know that when I got it. And yeah, it'll work I think for this pattern. It's like a lace detail down here. It's quite relaxed fit, but it goes in at the waist, which suits me because I'm sort of hourglass, pear-shaped hourglass shape, and baggy things don't often work for me. Otherwise I just look like I'm concealing some sort of pregnancy or massive muffin top or something. Because I'm a winter, and I know this, apparently bright sort of jewel colours suit me. So I have, you know, like, and they're the colours that I'm drawn towards anyway. So really lush, rich colours, burgundy, deep blue, deep green. Apparently there are some yellows I can wear, and I've always been a bit frightened of yellow, but that's something I'd like to look into, because I mean, I like to look at yellow, I just don't, in my experience, haven't been able to wear it. But apparently I have to stay away from mustards and orangey browns. Apparently brown in general isn't good, but I've told myself that I'm knitting. I am not stuffing knitting. Where's it gone? I'm not stuffing knitting my Elsk dress, and that's going to be a chestnut brown. And my hair's like brown, and my hair looks all right on my face. So I think it's not a really warm rusty brown. They don't really suit me. So it's a cooler brown. So I've told myself that it's definitely going to be fine. But yeah, so this is what I'm planning to knit in that. I did have loads of this put by for a jumper that I saw in a Stitch in Time. It's a frilly jumper, and it was like this with little buttons, and it was knitted sideways here, and it was lush, and I got this for it. And then I looked and I just thought, it's such a classic jumper. I don't think I can wear I don't think it should be knitted in such a vibrant shade. I think it needs to be knitted in something a bit more muted or a bit more classic or vintage looking. So I've still got quite a bit of this, and I saw that as off to tea, and I thought that'll be brilliant. I'll use that. In my head, it's there, it's done, I could wear it. I'm a project knitter, can you tell? But it means I have loads of this left over, which is a shame, because I had enough for a whole full jumper's worth. And I think it'll only take a couple, or maybe even one, no, probably two, to knit the one I'm thinking of. But then I suppose having lots of these left over isn't a terrible thing. I could knit something else in it. I've got some scrappy yarn projects I've got my eye on that I could use this for, like the oh, what's it called? See something tea. It's an Andrea Mowry one, and it's when you have like little bits, it's mosaic knitting, and it just uses up all your scrap yarn. I'll put it up here. I might use this in part of that, or I might just think of doing a pair of socks in this. I'm still knitting my dad's socks. They were supposed to be finished because the Christmas before last, the ones I knitted didn't fit, so my mum pinched them. Then he found a pattern, we found the wool, and I've been dragging my heels, and then I got injured, so this Christmas has come and gone. He's very patient. Poor dad. I'll get them finished as well. I'm not going to show you them though, because there's no further progress. We're no further forward with them. It's been really nice to podcast again, and thank you all for your lovely comments and all of the kind words that I've had about my my sad little first world problem with my arm. I really appreciate it, and I'm so pleased to be back and being able to join in again. I can be found on Instagram under there. It's at MellyArt13, MelMade at MellyArt13 on Instagram, and I believe I'm just MellyArt on Ravelry. Sometimes MellyArt, sometimes MellyArt13, can't remember. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you if you've stayed this long, thank you very much, and I will see you again soon. Bye.